Hey, what's up guys? It's Rick with the Digital Divide, and today I'm going to be doing a retrospective on Mighty Max. This was a series of compact miniature playsets. They were all horror themed, and they were designed for young boys between the ages of, like, I don't know, 6 to 10 years old or something around that. I was obsessed with these as a kid, and honestly, I still have so much nostalgia for them. They were just so neat at the time. If anyone knows me, they know that I love all things horror, so these were right up my alley, and they were really compact and easy to carry around. So for a little bit of background, these were manufactured by Bluebird Toys in the UK, and they started production in 1992. In the United States, these were distributed by Mattel, and that product line ran from 1992 to 1996. Mighty Max started out with what are called Doom Zone heads, and there were 18 of these in total. This is what I consider like the normal or standard size Mighty Max playsets, and these are the ones that I actively collect today. Now, these released in 3 different series. Series 1 is at the top there, Series 2 is in the middle, and Series 3 is at the bottom. The Series 3 was obviously the last series that they ever made, and as a result, those fetch a premium. They are very, very expensive and hard to find complete. Next came the horror heads, and there were 16 of these in total, and these also released in 3 separate series. Now, the naming convention for these always confused me because all of these are really horror heads, or horror-themed heads, but these were much smaller than the first line of toys. They were like maybe half the size, if not smaller, than the main series. And further down the road, Mattel started to release what are called the shrunken head or micro heads, and these are even smaller than the horror heads by a significant margin. They were way too small, in my opinion, to really do anything with if you were a kid and you wanted something to play around with. Now, every once in a while, they would go the opposite route and release these gigantic playsets. I remember having Skull Mountain. That was the first one that I got as a kid, and next came Dragon Island. This was a really fun set to play around with, but these sets kind of defeat the purpose of having compact playsets that you can take with you on the go. The last big playset I remember having was Magnus. This was a really cool one. It wasn't quite as big as the other two, but still significantly bigger than a normal Mighty Max. Finding these complete in the box, the normal sized heads, are very expensive. They fetch anywhere between $150 to $300 depending on what series you get. Like, this one's a Series 3, and you can see it went for $300. Unfortunately, I don't have any in the box, but I did buy a few on eBay that came with the original backboard. So this was part of the box. It's just missing the plastic in front, and as you can see on the back of each playset, there was a whole comic book strip that gave you kind of the story behind that particular playset, and these were really cool to see. This was the Scorpion one. This one was called Battle Cat. This was like the saber-toothed tiger one, and again, each one on the back had a whole comic book strip that would kind of give you the story of that particular playset, and it was really fun. The series became popular enough to get an actual full comic book run. Unfortunately, though, this comic book run was only issued in the UK. It was not available in the United States, with the exception of issue 0. So there were only a total of 10 issues published, but issue 0 you could get as a pack-in with the Sega Genesis game. So yes, there was a video game called The Adventures of Mighty Max, and they advertised right on the cover that it came with that premiere issue of the Mighty Max comic book, which was issue 0. The game is horrible, by the way, don't get it, but watch this gameplay clip if you hate yourself. Yeah, so the game's horrible. Don't buy that. It's really, really, really bad. Anyways, these sets were so much fun. I remember having them when I was a kid, but the only downside was that all the little figures were so small and they got lost super easily. And I kind of think Mattel knew that that was going to happen because they started releasing these hero and villain sets, and they were a mix of different sets. None of them were like the complete set for the head that it was supposed to go to, so you just had to buy multiple if you were missing them, and kind of a cash grab. So I'm gonna highlight some sets that I have here. I can't go over them all, I'll just go over a few because the video would take too long, but the design aesthetic of these were so brilliant because the exterior melded with the interior perfectly. Like a little dragon hiding in a cave here, and then you've got this little Grim Reaper dude hanging out here, and each piece would sit into a specific slot so that when you close the head up, you know, it would fold down completely. Here's the little dragon that came in this. I always liked this set. I thought it was cool. If you look inside of the dragon's cave, you can actually see like dead bodies and skeletons and whatnot. It's just so cool, and I feel like designing one of these would have been so much fun if you worked for Bluebird Toys and you had to put these together. There's like dead skeletons all over the playset that are molded into the plastic, and then they had some there's like a little miniature library up here, and they had stickers that would add accents. Here's like a little acid pit with dead bodies in it. There's a bridge. I think this piece snaps at the top here. It's like a little anchor so that you can crawl up to the top level. As a 6 or 7-year-old kid, this was just a lot of fun, and you would let your imagination run wild. Here's another one of my favorites. This is the great white shark, and you can see its teeth are all covered in blood. I don't think you could get away with making this today, because everything's too politically correct, but all of the fins are integrated into the inside of the unit, and they're all playable pieces, and that's the genius of the design here. Nothing goes to waste. There's like a ship inside, and if you flip open the ship here, you can see that each of the left and right fins were actually like these little squid creatures that you could play around with. This playset was like nautical themed. In the center, there was like the squid captain of the ship, and he pops out here, and you can play around with him. There's some treasure chests and gold behind him, but he seats into the captain's chair there, and there's like a revolving spear gun or harpoon gun in the front. It's just really cool. And then if you fold the ship back down, the top fin, as you can see here, is also a usable part of the toy set. Okay, that was not planned, but here it is. Excuse the cat hair on my toys here. So if you fold this open, it turns out to be his top fin is actually like it's like a stingray flying thing that Max can get into and fly around. It's just pretty cool. There was a lot of thought that went into each of these sets. Here's another one I want to spotlight here. This is the Cyclops, and the little tentacles coming out of his mouth, and the eyes, and even the spike coming out of his head is all part of the playset. This is one of my absolute favorites. When you fold it up, you can see that the spike coming out of his head turns into a staircase now that the case is open, and there's like this eyeball creature. If we look inside, there's like a cage that's holding Mighty Max prisoner. He's inside in the middle there. And there's like skulls that are adhered by sticker underneath the playset. There's like a little jail behind Mighty Max, and this is movable. You can fold it up, and then if you look inside, there's a bunch of dead bodies in there too, which is neat. Maybe it's a little morbid as a kid in hindsight, but it's cool. And then there's like a little tomb with a skeleton out front here that is completely, you can open it up and everything. And then this is the main bad guy of this particular set. And he's cool looking as well. This little plastic piece, I'm not sure what that's supposed to be at the top there, but it folds down as well. These are just so cool. And, as a kid, I was obsessed with them. And even now, every time I order one on eBay and I get it in the mail, I'm still excited. This last one I want to show off is the saber-toothed tiger one. His fangs and his eyes, everything is integrated so that it matches perfectly with the exterior design, and then the comic book on the back, and then the interior. It all blends together. I can't actually remember how this one opens. Okay, here we go. His jaw comes down, and you can see when we open up the playset that his fangs, the two big fangs, were actually a gigantic evil woolly mammoth, and his tusks are covered in blood. And then this playset, I love the colors on this playset. His bottom jaw here is actually like a jail cell that automatically closes, and Mighty Max is inside of there. I thought that was really cool as a kid. We'll go ahead and grab him and pull him out. And then here's the main baddie. He's holding a bloody rock, which is actually the right eyeball of the saber cat when you close the set. And then these flaps fold out to give you some more playing area. And each one of those, there's like hanging dead bodies on the walls and stuff. It's just a little bit morbid, again, as a kid. Mighty Max was so popular that it even got its own show. The show was pretty decent, believe it or not. If I'm not mistaken, it was around the same time like Sonic show was out and like the 90s X-Men show was out as well. So I would watch all of these and I had a great time. And it would just add to the lore. So my goal is to collect all of the main Doom heads and the horror heads and then go from there. So far I have 8 of them and they're all complete, so super hyped about that. And that's gonna do it for me again, guys. If you collect any weird or stupid old toys from your childhood, feel free to post in the comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.